Hello, welcome to the Freedom Finances Podcast. It is Monday, August 19th, and my name is Bradley Valentine. I'll be your host today. It's great to have you here as there's so much going on in the world today, whether it's about upcoming elections, stock market news, labor market changes, inflation, or other things going on. But what I want to talk about today is something that we have in our control. Outside of voting, there's very little control or say we have in elections or what politicians do. We can't control the stock market. We can't control inflation. But what we can control is our own budget and our own wealth. And an important principle in financial literacy is not just knowledge, but taking control of your finances. If you're sitting here waiting on good news or others to help you build wealth, well, you're going to be waiting a long time. Today, what I want to talk about is 5 responsible ways to build wealth. These are things that you can do every day with every paycheck to assure that you're building your wealth regardless of how the world around us acts. Now, we have a companion article at freedomfinances.org that I wrote a few months ago, but I want to talk about it a little bit more and make sure that everyone on this platform hears some amazing ways to build wealth. So let's get started. And before we go into the 5 things that we do to responsibly build wealth, there are 2 small disclaimers. And number 1 is the keyword responsible or responsibly. So we're looking at 5 ways to responsibly build wealth, and there's no advice here that's going to get you wealthy within a few months or even a few years. These are responsible actions that we can take and that we all can take regardless of what our budgets are. And budget is the number 2. You need to have a budget set up for yourself before you get started on building some amazing wealth. I still want you to listen if you don't have a budget, but if you need help with a budget at freedomfinances.org, we do have a starter budget. All right, let's get started. Number 1 is to stop spending on that credit card and stop upgrading your car. Now, I'm combining number 1 and number 2 from the original article, and I'm adding a 5th tip that wasn't mentioned. The reason why I'm making these both number 1 is because they fall under the same general principle, which is that continued payments with interest will prevent you from building up savings to invest in other places. Let's get started with credit cards. I'm not going to say to cut up your credit cards because they're all evil, but credit cards can be used wisely, sometimes to build credit, and while sometimes rare, they can also be used and helpful in an emergency. That's not what I'm talking about today because most people don't use their credit cards this way. Most people use their credit cards to pay for things that they don't need or maybe they do need, but they're short on cash. However, the problem starts once you start making payments on your credit cards. Not only are you paying for a purchase that you couldn't afford from a few weeks ago or a few months ago, but you're also paying a premium for these products because they have interest. What we really need to do is avoid a rolling balance. A rolling credit card balance will keep you poor, or it will keep you in the current class you're in. So let's say you have a balance of $250 and you make a payment of $35 a month. You'll be paying that balance for a minimum of 8 months. Now, once you start adding interest in, it's probably closer to 10 to 11 months just to pay off a balance of $250. Now, if you end up spending on that credit card again, you keep your payments at $35 a month, all of a sudden you're going to take more than a year to pay off a credit card that has just a couple $100s on it. I know most people are probably thinking, well, if I had a $250 credit card balance, it's no big deal. I could pay it off. But here's the thing. Most people keep a balance of several hundred to sometimes several $1,000s on a credit card. Now, think about taking just a year to pay off a couple $100s, but add another 0 on that balance. How many years is it really going to take you? These balances, they're meant to keep you poor and to keep you paying on your credit card each month so that your creditors, the banks, that they have a strong income in their profit and loss statement each month. Now, I think we all get the point with the credit cards. Again, I'm not trying to say they're evil, but when they're used, 95% of the time, they're not used wisely. So I'll just keep it at this. Avoid spending on your credit card and pay off your balance ASAP. Now, when it comes to cars, it's important to look at your life and understand your priorities. If you're trying to build wealth, you don't want part of your paycheck going every month to a payment that can avoid you from getting new things, building wealth every month in your life. Now, upgrading a car every few years means you'll always have a $400, $500, $600, $700 payment for the rest of your life. I'm not saying save $40,000 for a new car today, but what I'm saying is stop upgrading unnecessarily. If you're one of those people that gets a new car every 3 to 5 years, or maybe even less, I'm talking about you. You know who you are. So here's some statistics for us. According to Yahoo Finance, an average used car payment is around $530 today. An average new car payment is $725. Now, a lot of people think getting a used car is better, and it is cheaper because you avoid depreciation that happens quickly off the lot. But think about getting a used car, you're still paying $530 on average per month. That means most people are subtracting $530 to $725 from their budget every month just to pay for the car. So here's the recommendation, and I don't want to seem out of touch. I know people need a car, but if you can keep your car, keep it for as long as you can before you absolutely must buy a new car, or can afford to buy a car that's well within your means and your budget. If you truly want to build wealth, and it's important to remember that's what we're talking about, right? Building wealth. If you really want to build your wealth, ask yourself how many thousands of dollars each year are you willing to spend on a car and sacrifice from your future and from your budget just to have that nice car right now. Now, I know some people still need cars for their job, and there's no way to get around it because you have to have that car to get around, and some people have to make that purchase. So I don't want you to think never have a car, only take a bus for the rest of your life. This is about sacrificing your money for savings for later, for investments for later, on a nice new car now because you want that new thing. All right, let's move on to number 2, the second way to responsibly build wealth. And now it's time to start taking advantage of your 401k. So 401ks are retirement plans that pretty much almost all employers offer, and they're amazing ways to build wealth for the future and give yourself peace of mind for retirement. 401ks are really amazing because most employers have some sort of match with a 401k, which means if you put 5% of your budget, of your paycheck into a 401k, then your employer may match up to 4 or 5%. And that's amazing because that's free money. It's also awesome because you get started investing into the stock market without having to do too much research, without having to worry about timing the market. It's all part of that plan. And also, the amazing thing about 401ks is you get tax benefits. So we're going to go over all of these in a moment. Most people will recommend that you should at least invest the same amount into your 401k that your employer matches. So if your employer matches 5% of your investments, don't invest any less than 5%. What's great is if you want to invest more into your 401k, you can then take that money in your next tax bill and write that off of your income. So for every dollar that you invest into your 401k, you write that off in your taxes next year, dropping your tax bill or increasing your tax refund. We're not going to get much more into 401ks and how they work, but the good thing about them is you're multiplying your money in 401ks because you're getting employer funds, which is free money, you're investing into market growth, and you're getting tax benefits from these investments. So I really want you to think about, for step 2, increasing the amount you're putting into your 401k each month. All right, here we go. Number 3. This is where it really starts to get fun. Now, when you're building your wealth, you have to start thinking about the benefits that come to you for free, like a 401k. But I want to talk about something that some people know about, some people might not know about, and that's ESPP accounts, HSA accounts, or other employer benefits. If you don't know what those means, that's okay. We're going to go over it today and explain it all so that you have the best knowledge regarding these as possible. The great thing is you've probably started saving money from your credit card bills, from your car payments, and now you have to figure out, how am I going to reinvest that money to actually start building the wealth? So if you have an ESPP plan, that stands for Employee Stock Purchase Plan. What the cool thing about this is, it's a way for your employer allowing you to get into ownership in the company through stock holdings at a discounted rate. The awesome thing is that almost half of the top 500 companies in the U.S. offer ESPP, so there's a good chance that it's offered where you work. And if not, there's nearly 5,000 companies in the U.S. that offer some sort of employee stock purchase plan. The employee stock purchase plans, or ESPP, other sort of stock purchase plans, are great ways to build your wealth into the company, into the stock market at a hugely discounted rate. And anytime you have the opportunity to invest into the market at a discounted rate through your employer, you know that you're looking at a great opportunity to build your wealth and get free money. There are also a few other benefits that come through your employer, even if you don't have an employee stock purchase plan. And one of those is an HSA account. A health savings account, which is HSA, they're a high deductible health benefit plan, but they're great for saving for medical bills and offering tax deductions for next year's tax bill. So if you can afford a high deductible health plan, then you might want to look into getting a HSA account, because they have great benefits even outside of tax deductions, some which include allowing you to invest those funds into the stock market to build that balance bigger and bigger. So you may invest 20, 30, 50 bucks per pay period into your health savings account, and maybe use the option to invest that money into the stock market. It grows 10% every year. All of a sudden you have a great plan with amazing tax deductions for yourself and for savings. Now, this is sort of a niche category. You have to make sure that you and your family fall in the right lifestyle to be able to invest in this. So I just recommend, if this is something that you and your family can afford, it fits for you, look at this opportunity. You might not be interested in an HSA or have the option to purchase stocks through your employers. And if you fall in this category, I really recommend that you find a way to get more out of your career. Find a way to get more out of the benefits that your job gives you. Most jobs have at least some benefits that we don't take advantage of that can help you save money, that can help you save health. So do your research, talk to your managers, talk to your HR partners, and see at your job what opportunities and benefits you're missing out on. All right. Number 4 of the 5 ways to responsibly build wealth is to invest wisely into the stock market. Now, specifically, do yourself a favor and avoid timing the market and avoid meme stocks. The majority of people who invest the stock market, they should hold on to their investments long term. The reason why I say this is because timing the market is extremely difficult, and buying and selling regularly can give you a hefty tax bill in the future that's really hard to manage. So do yourself a favor, research the stock market, research stock market strategies, and many really agree that the stock market grows about 10% or so per year on average. What this means is that there are years on the stock market that maybe it only grows 2 or 3%, or maybe even it loses money. If you're trying to time your funds in the market, you have to be lucky, get in when it's low, and get out when it's high. This is really hard to do, and it's really hard to do for most normal people. That's why holding your stocks for longer periods of time is smarter, it's safer, and it's more tax efficient. So do your best to research stocks, companies, ETFs, research options, and make sure you do this before you make your major investments. The stronger your financial literacy is, the less likely you are to make big, major mistakes. And while you're doing your research, you'll find that meme stocks like GameStop or AMC are usually bad investments. For example, unless you invested in GameStop between, let's say, 2018 and 2020, at the very early part of the year, you've probably lost money on your investments, which is a great example of why meme stocks are terrible and why timing the market is extremely difficult to do. Okay, the last step today. This is a new step, and this is to find alternate investments, otherwise also known as diversification. Once you've cut out unnecessary debt and maxed out your benefits in your employer like 401k, employee stock purchase plans, invested in the stock market, it's time to grow your knowledge of investments and find ways to diversify. Diversification is great for reducing risk, and you may have heard the phrase, don't put all your eggs in one basket. What that means is if you've invested, let's say, $25,000 into the stock market, into, let's say, one specific stock in one company, let's say they have a terrible quarter or a terrible year, that $25,000 turns into $20,000. If you have quality diversification into your investment portfolio, you're not worrying too much about that small $5,000 loss because you have other things that you're diversifying into, which are making up the money that you lost. So this is really important because there are so many options to look into diversification. Maybe it's new stocks and companies to look into. Maybe some other investments could include exchange traded funds, ETFs, gold, real estate, Bitcoin, maybe getting into a new high savings bank account that you found out that is in your town, or even starting your own business. Now, one thing that's important is we just talked about a lot of new things to reduce your risk, but we've also brought on new risk. It's important that we stay responsible to the theme of what we're talking about today, responsible ways of building wealth. So responsibility is key here. If you feel strong about your investment strategy and you're ready to add a new level and decide, let's say, you're going to add Bitcoin to your portfolio, you're now looking into an unproven investment. Yes, Bitcoin has been around for 15 years or so, maybe less. But as of 2024, the prices are extremely erratic in Bitcoin. So, to assure that you're staying true to building wealth responsibly, be sure to avoid making large investments into risky adventures like crypto or real estate, especially if you can't afford to lose these investments. If you can't afford an extra $1,000 a year to invest into Bitcoin and you know that you're okay with losing that $1,000, then go ahead, add it in there, diversify your portfolio, but only do that once you feel comfortable with having that extra money to diversify and get into more risky investments. All right, we're going to close it out today, but first let's review these 5 steps to responsibly build wealth. Number 1, avoid continued credit card spending and avoid upgrading your car unnecessarily. These payments are self-manufactured ceilings on your wealth building. Number 2, take advantage of your 401k at work for free money and tax benefits. At minimum, increase your savings in your 401k each month to your employer match. Number 3, take advantage of employer stock purchase plans or other employer benefits like HSA, where you can get free money for your investments and saving. Number 4, invest wisely into the market. Do your research, avoid timing the market, and avoid meme stocks. And finally, number 5, research alternate investments, look into diversification to increase your financial investment literacy. The more you know, the more you can invest in, the better off you'll be to build your wealth. That's all we got for you today here at the Freedom Finances Podcast. Once again, my name is Bradley Valentine. I hope you had a great time listening today and learned at least 1 or 2 things. You can find us at freedomfinances.org and follow us at X at freedomfinancesx. Keep following us at Spotify and Apple Podcasts for more on financial literacy and how to build financial freedom. Have an amazing day.